hearing, if there were any smells, tastes, if you were eating. Allow yourself to reconnect with that moment, with that memory. It's like we're marinating in positivity. And even notice what your body feels like as you relive this experience. Notice any physical sensations. Be aware of what emotions you were feeling in that memory and what emotions you feel now as you re-experience this moment. And be aware of what you particularly appreciate about this memory. Maybe there was a favorite thing or thing that you saw or what you felt. And let that appreciation build in you. What are you particularly grateful for in this moment? Just continue to notice whatever is there. Allowing yourself to feel appreciation and notice what appreciation feels like in your body, in your heart, your emotions. And now to kind of cement that into us, just take a couple deep breaths, letting that appreciation and all the feel-good chemicals, the neurotransmitters that are being released, kind of settle in. We're taking a bath in appreciation, so to speak. And then over the next couple seconds, just allow yourself to slowly be aware of the present moment again, maybe noticing your back on the chair, wiggle your toes and your fingers, slowly open your eyes. And you can stay in that feel-good place, but we're now back in January 12th of 23. And I would be interested to know what appreciation feels like. So in the chat, with one word, just using one word to describe what appreciation feels like, just type in the chat. It's always very interesting to hear other people's experiences. And this exercise you could do every single day the rest of your life. And it will always be something different. And it will always be good for you. It's always going to improve your life. Always. That's the beautiful. So we see warm, joyful, peaceful. Yes. Alive, amazing, peaceful. I felt heard. I love that. There's so many beautiful, and we can just keep marinating in that, restful. This took 5 minutes. Wonderful. This took 5 minutes, ladies and gentlemen. And now we have this thing, this tool that we can lead others in, lead ourselves. And we got to practice starting with ourselves. You know, we have to put the oxygen mask ourselves on first if we're going to help other people. That is absolutely critical. to be practicing what we're teaching or sharing. Exhilarating freedom, amazing. But even in the grocery store line, as I was sharing, even if you're not in the helping profession, you could do this. Hey, could we just try something? We maybe just take a minute. It might be weird, but hey, let's just try it. Even just starting with some deep breathing, and share with me a moment that brought a smile to your face in the last week or so. And that will start changing the person's perspective. I'm going to share a screen, a couple slides here. We're going to talk about the benefit of appreciation. Some of you may have heard that before, and that is okay. We're just going to I think that we just can't hear it enough, in my opinion. I'm teaching myself every time I go through this stuff. I'm like, oh yes, this is why I do what I do. The benefits of appreciation, releasing oxytocin. A lot of antidepressant actually release and help boost serotonin in our brain. But appreciation and oxytocin, appreciation and gratitude can do the same thing. And so when you deliberately think about things you're grateful for and get into that place, not just thanks for the great cup of coffee, because that's a left brain exercise. It's allowing yourself to sit in that. That's when the oxytocin, the neurotransmitters are released. It's why we feel good. It's why these words were coming up like warm, restful, safe, feels wonderful, exhilarating, because oxytocin and feeling that appreciation releases oxytocin, serotonin has an anti-anxiety effect. It's released in a warm hug. It makes us feel good, doesn't it? It just makes us feel good. You can't feel bad marinating in appreciation. Appreciation results in positive emotions. Again, I have a more positive outlook on life. It doesn't mean that it's changing the external situation. Obviously, we have no control over that, but we do have control over really the only thing we have control over. Note to self and all of us, the only thing we have control over is what is going on internally. But it brings a sense of belonging and increased joy and peace and resiliency. So it actually expands our capacity to face hard things. And this is really important as those in the helping profession or those that we are helping other people, is sitting in that appreciation expands how much our brain and body system can actually hold until we feel overwhelmed. Brene Brown, I'm sure all of you have heard of her, a psychologist and professor. Her definition of overwhelmed means an extreme level of stress, an emotional and or cognitive intensity to the point of being unable to function. I'm sure all of us have been in that place at some point in our lives, right? I think that you'd be lying to yourself if you said you never felt like that. And you probably meet other people that are regularly feeling that, of the sense of overwhelm. But appreciation, when we regularly it's a practice. It's like meditation. It's like exercise. It's like eating well. It's a practice. It's something that we practice daily, not just here's some cool tools, but this becomes a part of my life. Sometimes the person that we're helping and that they don't have capacity to actually, maybe you're a counselor and they're actually sitting across from you, and maybe their eyes glaze over. Maybe they start getting fidgety and restless. Maybe they're disconnecting. It could be that they simply don't have the neurological capacity, the mental, emotional capacity to even look at hard things. And appreciation is proven, brain scientifically proven, to help expand capacity. Again, it doesn't change the external situation, but it expands my emotional bucket of what I can handle before I'm overwhelmed. Don't we all need that? Because we're living in obviously crazy times. So what can we do to help my nervous system regulate? What can I do to help me stay in a place of peace? All those words you were describing is putting into practice this appreciation. You can do this so easily with someone sitting across from you, or even a family member around the dinner table, but feeling that appreciation. So why does this practice of appreciation work? Because it is brain science, and all brains are created equally. And the right hemisphere of the brain doesn't process time. So when we really re-enter and re-experience that memory, my brain will release the same neurotransmitters as in the original experience. And that's why we can make ourselves feel bad when we go to a negative experience too. It doesn't mean let's deny the pain that's happening. It just means sometimes, when someone just continues to tell you their story, their pain story over and over again. And yes, it's important that they're heard. But what it's doing is it's just reinforcing the trauma. Again, doesn't mean we don't go there. That's not what I'm saying. But if they don't have capacity for healing because they're continue to re-traumatizing themselves and they feel bad as they continue to share their pain story, then we're not going to get anywhere. According to psychologist and theologian, Dr. Jim Wilder, healing takes 6 times longer when we start in a painful memory. We don't want to stay stuck, do we? But it's going to take a lot longer if we just continue to replay that painful memory. And I'm feeling it. I'm feeling the cortisol, the adrenaline, you just start feeling bad. Our mind has so much power over our brain. In other words, what I'm focusing on, that's what my brain is like. I'm giving it permission to either feel good or feel bad. But appreciation is a brain skill that can rewire our brain. And Dr. Wilder shares that feeling 5 minutes of appreciation 3 times a day over 30 days can change your outlook on life and reset the nervous system to run on joy. And honestly, we really start looking for things to appreciate. It just happens automatically. It's quite amazing. And I have proven this myself. And actually, this simple tool of sitting in appreciation helped unlock. A counselor came to our training, which we'll talk about in a little while, but a professional counselor came to our training a couple of years ago. And she said this simple tool of sitting in appreciation helped unlock a client of hers that she was working with for over a year that would come in weekly and just continue to share her pain story, could not get her unstuck, this kind of negative cycle looping. And she started encouraging her and practicing in this appreciation. And it was the key to breakthrough in a very short amount of time. Again, not denying the reality of what's going on, but setting your brain up for the best success, setting your brain up and your nervous system up, because this also is helping to regulate a dysregulated nervous system. And this client experienced joy for the first time in a very long time. And joy is something I'm just going to give a quick flyover, but I love joy. Who doesn't like to feel joy? But let's talk about joy for a few minutes. So the neurological definition of joy is knowing that someone's glad to be with you. It's a relational experience. It's shared through the eyes and voice. We can even do this on Zoom, better in person when I can look you eye to eye, but it's not always this euphoric experience. But you have a client that comes in, is upset, is afraid, is overwhelmed, is angry, and you show them that you're glad to be with them. Maybe you are the only touch point where they're experiencing joy. They may not even know what's going on, but their brain, their right hemisphere, their brain, their subconscious is like, someone's glad to be with me, and it starts releasing those neurotransmitters. So it's not always easy to be with those people that continue to have kind of this hard story. But if I can come alongside this person and go, I'm glad to be with you. It doesn't mean, yay, praise the Lord anyhow. It's, I'm glad to be with you in this. And I'm going to walk with you in this. And that is the definition of joy. So even be thinking of that when people come to you for help. You may be the only person that is glad to be with them in their story. And that's just, I'm glad to be with you. It's okay. I'm here with you. Attuning with them. And attunement means you feel seen, you feel heard, you feel understood. You feel that, again, I'm glad to be with you, that I care about you. This is key as helpers, that I'm attuning with the person. We're not bypassing their emotion by quoting a scripture. Not that scripture is bad, but if someone's coming to you in deep grief or sorrow or frustration or anger or disappointment, something tragic just happened, and you're like, well, it's God's will. He gives us trials. It's to strengthen you. Maybe you can think of times that people have said something trite or cliche, and you kind of wanted to slap them upside the head. That's not attunement. The being with, not trying to fix them. And if and when you have a client or person who's coming to you for help and you're feeling triggered by their strong emotion, let that be a teacher for you. because our tendency is to be afraid of people's emotion that touches on a place in us that maybe we haven't had healing for. And that's okay. We get just to be with that. There's nothing wrong with that. There's no shame in that, but we can recognize that as a teacher. But can we be with them in that and go, oh man, I'm feeling some stuff too, but I'm not going to tell you that God works all things together for good. Yes, that's the scripture, but we're not going to apply it here. Jesus mourned with those who mourned, wept with those who wept. So I'm going to be with you in this. I don't know what to tell you, but I'm so glad to be with you and I love you. And that's really critical in healing. Again, even if you're not in a professional role, the role of attunement can be incredibly healing. And that also will help calm someone's nervous system when they are feeling out of sorts. And this is a beautiful picture of attunement. This, the cat can't do a darn thing to help this dog, but the cat is crawling in there with it. We can experience joy and sadness at the same time. It doesn't mean that I not deny feeling. If any of you haven't seen Inside Out, go see it. It is such an incredible picture of these conflicting emotions all within us, and remembering that there are no bad emotions. There's no negative emotions. They just are. And I love the description of emotion being energy in motion. And we have to allow that energy to move through us so that we can have healing in that place. But we're not denying anything. We're not trying to get out of anything. Actually, we need to be in touch with those places and be okay with them. So when we are triggered or someone else is triggered, being okay with that and go, let's look at that. We can look at that with our heart. We can look at that. If you're a faith-based Christian worldview, we can look at that with Jesus and go, oh, okay, there's something going on here, but let's just be together with our own heart. And I could talk on that. That's a whole other webinar, but I'm going to stop sharing here. But that is a perfect picture of attunement right there. And we can do that with and for one another and our own heart too. We can actually attune with our own heart. And that's key. We don't want to bypass. We don't want to ignore. If a child comes to you in pain, or a friend, and they're having an issue, they're having a problem, none of us would go, oh, just get out. I don't know how to deal with that. Just being with whatever is there in loving, tender compassion. That's really key here. This is Jesus, just a perfect example of Jesus being with. And that's how healing is going to happen, is the being with. And that's, of course, one of the names of Jesus is Emmanuel, God with us. And we're going to experience that for a few moments right now. And again, those of you who have experienced this get to experience it again in a new way. We get to just keep going deeper into our own hearts, deeper into connection with Jesus, learn more about ourselves, learn more about him being glad to be with us. And so just for the next few moments, I'd invite you again to close your eyes and re-enter that warm, positive memory that you were experiencing before, just reminding you of some of the beautiful words that you were using to describe that experience: restful, alive, wonderful, amazing. I felt heard, joyful, peace. So I'd invite you to re-enter that, reconnect with that wonderful, warm memory. Just going to give you a few moments to feel that again. Let those feel good emotions reactivate as you re-enter that. If you need to take a deep breath. Reconnecting with what you're seeing and feeling, sensing, experiencing. Allow that appreciation to affect you. And all of those beautiful, lovely feelings, to be marinating in those. And if you're having a hard time reconnecting with that memory, just remind yourself of the details, or maybe there's another warm, positive memory coming into your awareness, something you really appreciate. And even if you come from a place from not a Christocentric or Christian background, I encourage you, I invite you to try this with me anyway. One of the names of Jesus is Emmanuel, God with us. We know that cognitively because we've read it or heard about it, but we're not always aware. We don't always experience his presence. So this is an exercise in practicing awareness of his presence. So as you're in that warm, positive memory, if you would like, no forcing you to do this, only with what you're comfortable, we're going to kind of upgrade that memory to include Emmanuel. And so I'd invite you, if you want to, begin to share appreciation and gratitude with Jesus, staying in that memory, staying connected to all the warm, fuzzy feelings. But notice what you are especially grateful for. And if you want to, just in your heart, in your mind, direct appreciation to him. And even begin to notice what's happening, if you're seeing anything or aware of anything. And if you'd like, we can make in your heart just a simple request of Jesus, help me be aware of your living presence. And then notice, just notice, be aware of whatever's coming in, whatever's dropping in. Jesus, help me be aware of your living presence. Just notice whatever is coming into your awareness, whether it's a thought, a feeling, a sensation. You may have a visual. You may have a knowing. It might not look like a Jesus that we typically know him to be, but he certainly appears in all sorts of forms throughout the Bible. But continue to notice whatever is coming into your awareness. And if you want to, continue to share your appreciation with him, or whatever you're feeling, whatever you'd like to share with him if you are aware of his presence. And if you're not, that's okay. Just stay in your warm and appreciation memory. There's nothing wrong with you. This is a practice. And if you are aware of his presence, whatever that may be, in whatever form or sensation or feeling or knowing or visual, just notice, be aware of how it makes you feel. Notice your emotions, even your body, any physical sensations. Just being aware of what's going on in us in response to being aware of his presence with us. And we're just going to ask him a question. Let's just try it for fun. See what happens. I encourage you that as we ask this question to let whatever comes in immediately, without judgment, without analysis. Jesus, how do you feel about being with me? And just notice the very first thing that kind of drops in. Jesus, how do you feel about being with me? It might be a feeling, it might be a word. Maybe you will get a scripture, maybe a poem, maybe a visual, who knows? But that first thing, and if it feels like love, then I can pretty much guarantee it's him. And it may be something you wouldn't expect. Again, if you're not able to perceive his presence, it's okay. Stay in that appreciation moment. Going to ask him one more question. Jesus, what do you especially appreciate about me? Again, noticing a feeling, a word, a sensation. Maybe you see something. The beauty of this building a relationship with Jesus is that we continue to get to know him in new ways, just like you would a friend, even a spouse. You've been married 50 years, still getting to know you, still finding out new things about you. And so as you are in that, either the positive memory or the upgrade with Jesus, just for about another 20 seconds, allowing all that feel good to fill your cells, regulating your nervous system, just being. And then, like a smooth landing on an airplane that comes in very slowly but efficiently as we land on the runway, no bumping, no big jolting. We just land that plane slowly. So come back down. You can open your eyes, take a couple deep breaths, but we can stay present to what we felt and experienced. And the beautiful thing about this approach is that as a helper, as a friend, as a mom, as a sister, as a counselor, as a coach, I don't have to have all the answers. In fact, none of us do. But from that place of connection, then we explore issues with Jesus. We never go to that place of like, tell me your deepest trauma and then try to figure it out. That's not what this is about. The transformational breakthrough comes from the withness. So I want to thank you for being with me. I'm going to hand it back to Kathy and Sandy, but thank you for practicing with me today. And thank you for sharing in my joy of the koala. But so honored that each of you is here and hope to see you soon.
Wow, thank you so much, Melinda, for sharing all of that. And I just want to reiterate that we don't have to do an either or approach with the tools that we already have versus the ones that you're learning today. There's a beautiful marriage of utilizing them in conjunction with what you might already be doing with your clients to help them experience breakthrough quicker because they're connecting with the tangible presence of Jesus. And that is a huge, huge thing. And I want to introduce you to my friend Lisa really quick. And I just wanted to share with you what she had to say. Lisa is a counselor in Texas. She's in the just north of Houston, Texas area. And we had a conversation yesterday, and she wanted to share this with you all. So hang on just a moment. Here we go.
My name is Lisa, and I am a Christian counselor with the NCCA. And today I want to share with you how these tools have helped me in working with my clients. The number one thing I'm seeing is they're getting unstuck from limiting beliefs and just places where they're not able to make progress. They're experiencing breakthrough way more quickly. They're interacting with the tangible presence of Christ in these sessions, and that is what is healing their trauma wounds faster than any traditional methods. So I just want to encourage you as you learn these to be patient with your clients, because they're learning and adapting to new ways of healing, and that these tools are effective and they work. And so they're going to be great additions to your tool belt as you work in your service of helping others. And I just want to thank you for all that you do.
So that's Lisa, and she's using these tools and very effectively. So one of the things that we wanted to do is to offer you some ways to get really proficient and comfortable with these tools. And there's a couple different ways to do that. Now, one, we are very happy to be announcing what we're calling our facilitator training level 1 and 2 video digital self-paced training. This is something that you can do at your own pace. It's 6.5 hours of training plus a brand newly released training manual to accompany that. And that is something that you can do. It's inside of our network called the Hub. And I want to answer Candy's question. It's the National Christian Counselors Association, is the NCCA. It's a sister companion to the AACC, which is the American Association of Christian Counselors. So just saw that, wanted to answer that real quick. But we have just released this 6.5 hour training. Do it at your own pace. It's in our platform housed by Mighty Networks. I don't know if you've heard of that. It is called Mighty Networks. It's a community-based learning environment where all of our digital content lives. And so we have our new training being released today. It is available for sale today. And I wanted to just give you some information on that. This is a really amazing deal. This is live training that we shot in Denver, Colorado. And we want to make it available to you for $249. And what you're getting in there is the full training, 6.5 hour facilitator training level 1 and 2 with the new manual. And then once a month throughout the year, we are going to be doing touch point Q&A Zoom calls. And this is where Melinda or myself or both are going to be available to you, kind of like office hours, where if you're going through this and you have questions, you want to come in and ask questions, maybe process through some things that you bumped into with a client, we're going to have those available throughout the year. And that is a $1,500 value. That's a lot of our time that we're going to be spending in there. And then also with that, because all of our training is housed in the Hub, which is on Mighty Networks, our online community platform, you have access to that. And there's a lot of free content on there that you can get access to. And then if you go ahead and sign up for that today, we're going to include with that the founders videos. Now, how many of you can put this in the chat? I probably won't see a raised hand, but put it in the chat. How many of you are familiar with the Face-to-Face Ministries podcast? This is a free resource that we offer. We've been doing it starting now our 4th year of doing this. And our main purpose for doing it was to bring together the voices of the inner healing movement, leaders and founders in the inner healing movement, including Dr. Carl Lehman, who is the founder of the tools that we're training you and presenting to you today. And all of them are on our podcast, but we have 10 of them. The first year was all done on video, y'all. We've sat up with these people in person, did these on video. And we have 10 of those videos already prepared and edited for you to view. It's called the Founders Videos. We sell them as a package for $89, but we're including them for free as a fast action bonus. So if you guys buy this before Saturday at midnight, you're going to get that. I want to tell you something about the QR codes. If you're already in the Hub Basic or in the Hub community somehow, you're going to need to scan the lower QR code. Okay. Now I'm going to have links for these. They're on our website. If you look at face-to-face-ministries.org, engage, all of this information is also there. So don't worry if you don't know how to use a QR code. It took me a while to figure those out, but just in case you're planning to use them, the little one on the bottom is for you that are already members of Hub Basic. But if you are not part of that community, the bigger QR code is the one that you would scan, and that is the link that you would go to. But again, this is on our website, face-to-face-ministries.org/engage. And I'm going to send you information on how to get these things as well, because I know it's a lot of information to take in, and we're kind of running out of time running through this really quickly. But those founders videos are a gold mine. It's Judith McNutt from Christian Ministries, Christian Healing Ministries, Father Andrew Miller from HeartSync, Trisha Frost from Shiloh Place Ministries, John Thomas from Streams Ministries. There's a whole list of them, 10 of them that you have access to at no additional cost, going to go along with this training as a bonus if you buy today, tomorrow, or Saturday. So very excited about being able to offer you guys that. And then one of the things that what we found is that these tools are really easy to learn, but it takes a lifetime to really master them in the more advanced troubleshooting. And some of those things, you don't really know what you're getting into till you bump into them. And so it's really good to have some mentoring and training to go along with that training and the information that you get in the video training. We are starting a 6-week mentoring track on January 31st. It's going to be from 12 to 2 p.m. Eastern, so the same time frame as this. And it is going to be an amazing journey with the opportunity to practice hands-on. We have trained coaches that are experienced in the Emmanuel approach, and they are going to be there as small group leaders. So everyone's going to have an opportunity to practice leading, and you also have the opportunity to receive mentoring. And then you have this beautiful opportunity for Q&A, debriefing, an opportunity to get coaching, ideas, suggestions, like what would you have done in this area? Or maybe you could have tried this, or how did this feel when she did this in your session? All sorts of amazing ways for you to interact with the tools in a practical way, hands-on, so that you can get some mentoring. And so with the mentoring, that's kind of like an upgrade. You can get the facilitator training, 6.5-hour trainings, 6.5-hour training of the facilitator training. If you can complete that in the next couple of weeks before the 31st, then you qualify to go into the mentoring track. And we want you to come and experience hands-on practice. It's the best way to learn. And so you're going to get the facilitator training level 1 and 2, the manual. You're going to get 12 hours of mentoring. You're going to have a dedicated space on our Hub platform in Mighty Networks for just you in the mentoring, so that you have an opportunity to interact with others who are on the same track. You're going to have those monthly touch point calls. They're going to happen every month. And you're going to have the access to Hub Basic. And we're still including the founders videos for you. But for this, the motivation for you to act quickly on this is then you get a 1-hour Emmanuel Approach Heart Healing Ministry session with one of our trained team members. So this is $125 value. And this is for the first 12 people that purchase this package for $498. That's almost a $5,000 value with this. We're only $498. So it's basically a 10%, 90% discount. And if you buy this package before Saturday at midnight, then that's going to include the inner healing ministry session. And you'll get an email from Sandy based on when you purchase. And Sandy's going to help you get set up with that. So these are really exciting opportunities. Again, if you're already in the Hub Basic or Premium Hub membership, you have the little QR code. The bigger QR code is for those who need access to the membership. But face-to-face-ministries.org, engage would be the place for you to find that. And then really quickly, if you're in Hub Plus or Hub Basic, we've got Hub Plus. You can watch demos and debriefs. We've got dozens of them in there for you to watch and learn There's a lot of archives. We do a weekly connection point called Just Be for relational connection and learning brain skills and interacting, how to attune, increasing capacity. We are starting a new series this year called Meet the Healers in Premium. And this is something you find out once you get into Hub Basics. So I just wanted to fly over that really fast. It's in groups inside our Hub. And then our podcast, obviously, if you want to take a look at that, it's available on all platforms. So these are things that we have available for you, resources. But right now, the thing that we're very excited about is releasing the facilitator training. Would love to get that in your hands. That is an $1,838 value, give or take, for $249. And then if you want to add on the mentoring, it's right here. So I'm going to be emailing you guys in a little bit so that you'll have information on this. But Sandy, go ahead and post in the chat that the Face-to-Face Ministries /engage so that you guys can click on that, pull it up on another window for you when you get off the call to go check that out. And I do want to give Sandy just a minute. Sandy, if you would come in and just very quickly share, just literally 30 seconds to a minute, share about your experience. Once you popped into a training, you flew from California to Virginia to do a training. You've also done some other things. So how has this stuff helped you? What has your past year been like? Really quickly, just kind of explaining, because you have jumped in with both feet.
Yes, I will tell you, I flew to Virginia all the way across country to get the live training. So actually, you guys are getting a good deal, getting the video training. You don't have to do airfare and hotel and all that stuff. So, but I did that. And a few weeks later, I jumped into the mentorship. And I tell you, talk about acceleration. I mean, I was already meeting with people one-on-one, but once I got these tools, which are really easy to acquire, but it really takes a longer time to master them, as you all know, as people who are helping people. And what the benefit of the mentorship did for me is it enabled me to be able to practice and get feedback. Oh, wow, that was so invaluable to me, because here I was already practicing a couple times a week, but without really the feedback, I wasn't sure if I was using the tools correctly or where I needed to hone them. So that's the beauty of getting into the live mentorships, is I got to ask questions when I would run into some places I got stuck, and ask experienced coaches, how would you have done this? So very, very great for accelerating and learning more and more tools, which helped me to be a better facilitator in helping others.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that, Sandy. Sandy has really been embracing the whole process and journey here. And I know we do have a question in about certification. Let me tell you about certification. None of the inner healing models really do that. I know HeartSync is kind of doing that. Part of it is because we're always continually learning. What we are doing as Face-to-Face Ministries is that we're right now in the process of building a track of steps to complete the training process, with the understanding that we're not necessarily going to endorse you or employ you or anything, but that you have completed all the trainings that we offer, and it prepares you to really be an effective minister in those one-on-one settings and all of that. So yes, this piece right here that we're offering you is the first piece of that training. Obviously, the facilitator training is bare minimum. That's like starting. And then from there, doing at least a couple of mentoring tracks. Like the goal would be that you would take more than one, because they're different every time, because there's different people involved. There's different topics that come up in sessions. And so we'd love for you to do a few of those. And then also having a number of one-on-one ministry hours behind you as well. So we're working on that. So if you come into the Hub community, start with that level 1 and 2 facilitator training, get involved with mentoring. We're going to have a more defined track that we're actually working on and building with Sandy right now, because she's coming in from a different perspective, having come in at the ground level and has now worked herself up and is now doing one-on-one trainings. And she's done that over the course of a year. So we are working on that. So it would be more of a certificate of completion rather than a certification. Dr. Carl Lehman, who's the founder of the model, he doesn't offer that per se in that language, but we always continue to grow and learn together, because like I said earlier, you can learn these tools really quickly, the basics quickly, but then learning the more advanced troubleshooting, that may take longer, and we have an opportunity to grow and learn together. So that's how I would answer that. But again, you're going to get an email with this information. Please visit this website, facetofaceministries.org/engage. All of the information there is on how to access it is there. So that was really super quick. Any other questions here? I'm looking at what would you, yes, it would be heart healing facilitated. This would be becoming an Emmanuel approach heart healing facilitator is what we would call that. It is after 1, so I don't want to take more of your time, but Sandy, Melinda, anything else that I should mention here or we can address really quickly? I'm kind of...
Yeah, just Samantha, I love that you're asking that question. We would call it heart healing, inner healing, all of those, definitely. And I love that you're doing nutrition and fitness. This all fits in. It doesn't mean you have to do this full time, because we're looking at it holistically. And, I'm not a pro in nutrition. That's up to you guys. Like, I know my friend Colette, and sounds like you, Samantha, I'm not, I don't teach that, but if you incorporated this, because it's simple brain science tools, doesn't mean you have to do it full time. These are life-changing concepts and tools. So it is something that you definitely could put in your tool belt, and it will make it a fuller experience for the person, because maybe there's a reason why you're telling me what I need to eat. I can't do it. There's a block. And so even looking at that at the deeper root, at the deeper heart issue. So I hope does that answer? I don't know if that answers the question. Does that answer the question? Okay, cool. Yeah. A narrative that subconscious loop. Yes, absolutely. The story they've been telling themselves.
Yeah. Well, hey, seriously, you guys, these are really easy tools to learn. They might seem super simplistic until you bump into something that, like a troubleshooting thing, because sometimes people have a hard time connecting with a positive memory. Sometimes they have a hard time connecting with Jesus. Sometimes they have a hard time perceiving him. Sometimes they get bumped out of their positive memory. How do we get them back in? So the basics of these concepts are really simple and easy to implement, but there are times when we bump into things and we need to have more thorough training. And that's what we do in the course that we've just released today. Take that a little bit further and deeper with troubleshooting. And Melinda does a much thorough training on them. So we'd love to have you guys be part of that. Again, I had the wrong date on the slide. The fast action bonus is until Saturday, the 14th at midnight. So we'd love for you to have those founders videos. You get to hear from Dr. Carl Lehman and get to meet him on those interviews, and also join us in our community. The Hub is really where we're connecting and growing, and Hub Plus is also, there's so many demos there. And I think, Sandy, that's one of the things you said that was so helpful to you, is because of having the opportunity to have the live demos to watch, right? Yeah, sweet. All right, Melinda, I'll turn it back to you to hang up.
Well, I mean, gosh, thank you for those of you who have stayed or are watching this later, and hope to see you in the Hub and or doing the training. This stuff has just changed my life. It truly is. Like, we wouldn't be doing this like hard sales pitch or whatever you want to think of it as if it wasn't totally transforming for everybody. It's not just, this is for some people. I truly like this is. So thank you though for just coming. I appreciate seeing new faces and old faces, and what a joy to be with you. Thank you for letting me share some of my story. And those of you who've heard me before, you've heard me like 18,000 times. Colette, Sandy, Roxanne, Leanne, thank you for being here anyway. And but bless you guys, and please reach out if you have any questions. We'd love to have you part of our heart healing army of healed heart healers. And we bless you. Thank you so much. We're going to sign off because we don't want to keep you.
We'll see you.